Hey guys, so I want to put together this Q&A. I'm going to take a look at some of the questions you've been leaving on the videos and answer them. You know, you ask questions, I answer them. That's a Q&A. That's how it works, right? Hey everyone, I'm Kevin Patrick Robbins. This is Studio Builder, and I make this channel to help other photographers in running and starting their businesses. So I've got some questions on my phone, and I'm going to read them and put my old man glasses on and take a look at what we have here. Here's one from Scott Tanner. Scott says, great video for multiple clients. How much time do you spend on average with each client? So this question is on my headshot pricing video. How much time do I spend with each person when I'm shooting multiple people? Depends on how much time I have and how many people there are, and their budget. If their budget can really only account for a single day, I guess I have to try and get everyone in on a single day. How many people would I feel comfortable shooting in a day? I would say 1 every 5 minutes. That's about where I'd be comfortable at a max shooting people per day. I would definitely like that to be half of that. Where I really feel comfortable is about like 10 to 15 minutes per person. People take time to warm up and get comfortable in front of the camera, and as good as I am talking to people and getting them to loosen up and warm up, that takes a couple of minutes to really get to know them, find out who they are, what they do, and get them talking about their work, maybe their family, and find out what they're excited about, loosen them up a bit for the photo shoot. Do you have problems with exporting multiple images from Capture One? I highlighted all of my pics and it still saves just one image. Now I'm having to do it one by one. Any help? So what's happening here is you have to select the edit all variants option. If you don't have that selected, it's not going to process all the variants that you have selected. It will only process the primary variant that you have selected. Carl Victor writes, the problem for those of us who do the work for a living is losing assignments to those people who do it for free. I disagree with this one. If you're losing jobs to people who are doing it for free, I would question one of two things. You're targeting the wrong people to photograph, or your work is not better than those people who are doing it for free. You have to change both of those things. Your work has to be better than anyone who's offering it for free, or you have to target a better potential client to have them come to you. Also, there are people who are going to be your clients and people who are not going to be your clients. And so you have to consider that everybody has their budget, and that's fine. If you're losing jobs to people who are doing it for free, then the person who's going to the people who are doing it for free would not have been willing to pay your prices in the first place. So let them go. They're not your client. Love the Lehmann scale. I have a question. How many shots do you deliver per person, and how many do they get for the final images? When I'm shooting headshots for a single person and they're hiring me, and that's $500, they're getting 3 finished retouched images and many proofs, well over 100 proofs, sometimes close to 200 or 300. I shoot a lot. I'm a heavy shooter. I'm heavy on the shutter. So I deliver a lot of images. And when I'm photographing groups, that then becomes 1 image per person. Because typically when you're shooting groups of 20 people, 30 people, 40 people, the company is hiring you to get headshots of everyone, and they really only need and want 1 headshot per person. So that's what I deliver. Matrix Photo Design writes, a quick question, do you use contracts with your headshot clients? My answer is not only yes, but my answer is never, ever, ever shoot without a contract. Here's one from 360 Aperture. How do you display the Lehmann scale pricing to your customers for them to understand? Sometimes I don't, and I just group it all together and I give them the final price. This is typically what I do. I will give them the price and I will say this is for up to 13 people. And if they want to add more people, then I will just add that on later on. I will just re-invoice them for the additional people as needed. The other way is to line item it, and you would just say first person, $500, persons 2 through 5, $350 each at quantity 4. Then it might be persons 6 through 13 at $200 I just will line item it out so that they see if they're removing people, they're removing it from the end of the line and not the start of the line. I will also state in my estimate that if they want to add additional people, it will be $200 per person. That's it. I wish I had watched this video a month ago. May have gotten me a big time gig, as I've been pricing my headshot groups at 200, worked for 6 or so, but a group of 40, another group of 80, not so much. How would you go about pricing something like this? If it's a group of 40, that's an $8,000 shoot. It should be at least an $8,000 shoot. If they have trouble paying that $8,000, then I would suspect that either it's way out of their budget and their budget expectations are unrealistic for you and your work and are maybe more in line with like a photographer of lesser quality. If it's 80 people, that should be a $16,000 shoot. Maybe what you're not relaying to them is that that $200 isn't just for the image, that $200 is for the usage rights for that image over what type of media, and what kind of duration. You need to convey what they are getting for that $200, because it's not just you snapping the button for another person. Now, the one thing that I would add to that is use your discretion. If they come back to you and they say $16,000 is too much, but you still want the job and you think you can do it for $12,000, and you're like, wow, that's $12,000. That's gonna pay my mortgage for 6 months. There's no shame in taking a job that's $12,000. Do what suits you and your needs in the moment in which you are bidding on the job. Can you afford to say no? See if you can find out what their budget is. And if their budget is reasonable to you for the work, by all means, go ahead and do it. If it takes a month, then you've earned $12,000 for that month. $12,000 is a great amount of money to make for a month's worth of work. Here's a question from Howard McMillan. He writes, what do you think about creating a photography studio in an indoor climate-controlled storage unit? And he goes on to explain that he's not talking about a cheap unit, but that he's talking about a nice unit that you would find in a storage facility, like an indoor controlled storage facility. And the reason he talks about this is because you can get some of those for about $300 per month. I think it could work under a couple of conditions. The first would be that the facility even allows it, and the second would be that you're not bringing clients there. Yeah, if you're gonna bring clients to a studio, find a studio or rent a studio, charge it back to the client. If you're just using it for your own purposes to build your portfolio, it's an interesting idea. Yeah, it's an interesting question. Don't take clients there. That's the bottom line. If you do it, don't bring clients to that space. Here's another question from Matrix Photo Design. Hi Kevin, is there a guild or calculator, I think he means guide, or calculator to reference to how to calculate usage, image usage and licensing? My recommendation is to use software like PhotoQuote, which does have conditions for Canada. And you will notice that when you enter Canada, the usage decreases, and also BlinkBid. BlinkBid used to just be software for licensing and estimating, but now it's much more of a complete CRM in which you pay a subscription for it. If I were only commercial and not shooting headshots at all and didn't have to have interactions with people and I was working directly with agencies, I would probably use BlinkBid instead of Sprout Studio. But for getting numbers for usage and licensing, your best bets are BlinkBid and PhotoQuote, and I would lean towards BlinkBid. Erik Marcinkowski writes, so you're saying I should actually use my website's blog feature for things? Question mark. Erik is one of my best friends and he knows the answer to this, and the answer is, yeah, obviously, do it. There's another one from Erik. He writes, do you feel there is value in going back and renaming old jobs files from years past? Personally, I do, but this comes with a caveat. If you have everything in sessions and no catalogs, then go into each session individually and rename the images using the naming schema that I laid out in that previous video. And if you do it that way, you'll be fine. If you have sessions, then you also have a master catalog, then rename the images in the catalog. The session will be fine because when you open the session file, it will see the files in the folders. It doesn't use a database. It references the files directly in the folders that are created for that session. So the session will be fine and the images in the catalog will be fine. If you have sessions and then you back those up into a master archive the way I do. If I went and renamed the files in the sessions, then those referenced images would no longer have connections in the catalog. My catalog would be broken. So I wouldn't be able to refind those images again. I would have to re-import them all again. And the old images would just exist as dead links and be able to be unfound on the disk. And that just sucks. You end up with all these broken images. That's not gonna work. You don't want that. Don't do it. Get rid of that. If you have anything in catalog, rename in a catalog. If you only have sessions, rename in the sessions. If you only use a catalog, then just rename using the catalog. It would be the same process as using the sessions. So catalogs trump sessions in the renaming process of old images and old jobs. And final one from Erik, and he writes, I'm glad you picked my best self-portrait. And he is, of course, referring to this photo right here, which I love, I think is awesome. But I don't think that's his best self-portrait now, because he has, since that video came out, made this self-portrait prior to cutting off all his hair, and I think this is awesome, and this is my new favorite. So that's what I'm gonna be using in the future. So I hope you dig it, guy. More of a statement from Kristi Bolton, and this is on the video in which I was explaining why I was quitting wedding photography. I actually have my last wedding coming up in about 2 weeks. Next Tuesday, I'm shooting the engagement session for it with a horse and a baby. That should be interesting and fun. But Kristi writes, this was such a breath of fresh air. Thank you. And I love that you're an improviser too. Improv teaches us how failure is okay and not really failing. I hope everything goes well with your shift. I know I'll be subscribing to see what you do next. Thank you very much, Kristi. It has been pretty great. I still know, I know a number of wedding photographers who during the pandemic shut down the wedding side of their business and pivoted to other things. My friend Eva has gone heavily into food photography with recipe development. My friend Katie has really blown up her boudoir photography business. Unless there's some dramatic change, I don't see myself moving back to weddings anytime soon. We'll see how I feel after I shoot this wedding in a couple of weeks, but for the most part, I think it's done. I'm pretty sure it's done. I'm okay with that, and I'm pretty happy with that. I wanna focus much more on my advertising and editorial work. I'm subletting a studio for a month starting tomorrow. That is going to be great. A lot of development in there. There's a big event with graffiti artists happening here locally and some rappers, and I'm gonna be involved with shooting a lot of that as well. And so I'm pretty excited for what the next month has for me and for my portfolio, and really fits with like who I am as a person and a photographer, my sense of style, my aesthetic, my personal taste in music as well. Thanks. That's it for me, everyone. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any other questions, leave them in the comments below or leave them on the comments of other videos. I'll try to get to as many as I can, but I'm gonna tell you now, I'm not gonna be successful at getting back to everyone or responding to every question or comment. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like, subscribe, turn on the notifications, but one of the best things that you can do is just watch another one of my videos. YouTube likes it when you watch many videos on a channel at the same time. And yeah, there's always some interesting stuff that you can go back and take a look at. So I appreciate it. That's everything for today. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.